Best rate of climb?
Best
How
rate of
can you call
climb.
that a best rate? It's high. You know, we'll play.
Best rate for the insurance companies.
Yeah, oh, there we go. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to In the Hangar. I'm Dan Milliken.
And I'm Christy Wong. Today's episode is brought to you by
Our sponsors, who we are very grateful for. In fact, we have one here. Jerry Clemens, Clemens Insurance. Jerry, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
Jerry, you are, even long before I became a customer of yours and before you were a sponsor of the channel, you have an incredible reputation in the aviation industry for insurance. And I'm so glad to be able to have you on the show to talk about, there's a lot of complaints going on right now among the pilots.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions.
So,
good.
First of all, let's start there. Pilots are upset that the rates keep climbing, 30, 40, 50% or more a year.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Well, insurance companies have been around for a long time. And the reason they've been around for a long time is because they try to calculate what the cost of insurance is and then make a little money. And if they don't at least get what it costs to pay the claims and all of the attorneys and all of that, then they won't be there, and then we won't have insurance companies. And so as costs go up, the rates go up. So it's all based on experience.
A lot of pilots I hear are complaining because they think that, that little bit of money that they're making is a lot of bit of money. Is that a valid complaint?
It is, very much.
A valid, okay.
Yeah, because some people, maybe they don't deserve to have the rates that they are paying. Maybe they could get a better rate if things were done differently.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today is when you're shopping for insurance, there's some things that you can do for yourself
To get the rate down.
possibly get you a better rate.
Okay. So what are some of those things?
So let's say, for example, that you're trying to insure an airplane that's hard to insure.
Okay.
Give us an example.
A
of one of
210.
A 210. That's
Oh,
a perfect
okay,
example.
Dan.
Because it's a retract.
those.
It's
True.
a retract.
And it's
high
a high-wing
performance.
retract.
And it might have a turbocharger.
Okay.
And there's lots of things with a 210 and other complex aircraft like that make it maybe more difficult than a 172
Or a Cherokee Warrior.
or a Warrior. Yeah. So let's say someone comes in and they have a 210 and they don't have an instrument license.
Okay.
Makes it very difficult. Also makes it very expensive. So it's not that we can't get it done, but it's going to be expensive if you don't meet all the criteria that the insurance companies want.
So get an IFR is one way to lower your rates.
It is, absolutely. And actually, there's several companies that just absolutely will not look at you if you don't have that instrument rating for a 210.
Okay.
So,
And then there's, of course, in that case, it's going to be your retract time.
oh yeah, retract time's important, but most importantly is experience and make and model.
Okay.
And so if you've gotten a new airplane and you have no experience in it, plan on paying extra for the first year. And if you're having to pay a higher rate for the first year, if you want to do something about it, fly your airplane. Get used to it.
Case in point with my 210, the first year in it, I had maybe 20 hours of retract time.
Right.
I paid a very high premium, and I flew at 200 hours that year.
Yeah.
My insurance dropped in half
Oh, yeah.
the next year.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
What kind of time are they looking for in make and model typically?
In an airplane like that, 200 hours.
Wow.
Okay.
So, and even in a 182. So if you get that 200 hour mark in a 182, make and model time, most of the time it'll change your rate.
172, same. I mean, all these planes that.
Well, when you get down below that, when you're not in
below
the
high
high performance,
Okay.
then those aircraft are much easier to insure with those with little experience. One of the things that we find is that someone wants to go out and buy an airplane, and they're buying the airplane based on the mission that they want to complete with that airplane, but they forget about the skill set that they are at today. And a lot of times we'll talk people off the cliff on buying something that's far beyond what their skill set is because they're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money for the premium. And so work it gradually, get to where you're at. Have the airplane with your skill set, with the make and model in mind, because you can get another airplane, get rid of that one, get another one. But if you don't go through that process, you're going to spend more money to get there. It's not that it can't be done, it just costs you more.
How many insurance like underwriters are there these days? Because I've been told anywhere between like there's only 2 left to like there's
there's a lot more than
4
that.
left, or
No.
how many companies really are there in the
I don't
market?
know the answer.
Okay, so there's more than 2.
Yes.
Okay. How true is it that the whole Boeing Max, trickling down had an effect on GA insurance?
Oh, absolutely it did.
Okay.
So
Why? Why did the mess ups of a large Boeing corporation have such a dramatic effect on my insurance as a pilot?
there's an insurance policy called grounding coverage. And Boeing purchased that, bought a policy for that, but with that big of a policy, the insurance companies share the risk.
Okay.
And I don't know how many of the insurance companies shared the risk in that, but several of them did. And so with the MAX 8, when it went down, that cost lots and lots of money, billions and billions of dollars. I don't know how much. But all of those insurance companies had to share in that cost.
Oh, so Boeing really wasn't out. It wasn't a big deal to Boeing. Well, they had insurance.
It was a
for
good move for them to buy that policy.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
But then all these insurance companies took a hard one on the chin.
absolutely.
So now I get to pay 40% more in insurance on the Warrior because
And it's not just that, but it's just like I was saying earlier, the amount they pay in claims,
right.
the cost of
So
insurance.
every
plus a
time we
little.
see a crash in the media now, am I allowed to get triggered?
But what's interesting is there's always been general aviation crashes.
Of course.
And today we see more of them than we used to see
Right.
because of social media.
So it's not that there's more GA crashes.
I don't believe there is.
I don't
more.
believe the numbers aren't there. I mean, we're still crashing and we need to stop and
Yeah.
we need to be better. But there's not more. It's just that we're more aware of it because of
We are more aware.
communication today.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But the cost of repairs has gone up.
I would attest to that.
Yeah,
The
I
cost
would
of
too.
just aviation ownership in the last 2 years has been astronomical.
The rate per hour is going up. You see that all over the place. The cost for parts is going up. So
All right. Well, is there any good news for general aviation people?
So let's say, for example, that you do have one of those airplanes that's hard to insure, and maybe you're in a position where you're not the most qualified person to fly that aircraft, or there might be something that is on your pilot history that needs special attention. One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen when people are quoting is they will call a random aviation broker and tell them, just quote the market with this and see who gives me the best rate, because that's what they want, is the best rate, obviously. Well, there's 2 ways to go to the market with aviation insurance. Aviation insurance guys have a quoting system that they can put all of your information in and then push a button and it goes to every aviation insurance company. You would think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And it is if everything's in order. But if you don't fit all the perfect criteria for that airplane, it's not a good idea. What the broker should do in that case is not span it out to every insurance company, because if something's wrong, then the underwriter will decline
And once you're declined, you're declined.
for a year.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay. So if you spam out there and you've done something wrong or you can't improve on some information, you are toast for a year.
Just for a year. And so what
Okay.
ends up happening is there are some aviation insurance companies that will take you, but it's going to be a high premium. And that might be what you're stuck with. But now, what we like to do in our office is we take and fill out all of your general information, and we try to build a resume on you and your airplane. Because, you know, there might be some unique things about your airplane. Maybe your plane came with a IO 520 and you put an IO 550 in it, or a TIO 550. You know, different things like that, and understanding the maintenance about the plane, but then also understanding the background of the pilot. You know, I had one here this last week to where this guy had a flat tire and did a ground loop in his airplane, and it wasn't his fault that he had a flat tire, but he's had an accident. And when you have an accident, most insurance companies in aviation won't look at you for 3 years. And so, but what I did is I built the resume for this guy, or he built his resume and gave me all his information. And then rather than pushing a button and sending out to everyone, I call the underwriter and talk to them about this guy and tell him what a good pilot he is and the history about it, and you can look at this together and let's talk about it. And we do that. And if they don't like it, and they say, well, I don't like it, but you know, my buddy over at this insurance company, he'll take that. I'm pretty sure he will. And so it takes a lot longer for someone like me to do that. But in the end, if we can get this through for a competitive rate, it's worth it.
So that's really good. I didn't realize that. I wouldn't even know as a pilot seeking insurance to tell my broker to hit the market for the best price, because I didn't know you did that anyway. I would just say, can you give me the best price?
Right.
You know, in my head, I don't think about it being, I'm thinking of Jerry's giving me the insurance, not, you know,
Right.
Global or whatever is out there.
Yeah.
So.
No, Jerry's going to bat for you.
Right,
is what
and
he's
that's
doing.
what-
and
He's
that's
your
what-
advocate.
And that's how your broker goes to bat with you, is taking more time and laying everything out and showing the history, telling a little bit about your past, of where you're at now, and talking to the underwriter about that. Or even if you can't get a hold of the underwriter, you can send the package that sells this customer to this insurance company. Okay. Instead of spanning, because I'm not a fan of that, unless if it's like Christie, for example, I could take Christie's airplane, put it in that system, that quoting system, and it'd be fine. It'd be absolutely fine, because she's got all the time, she's got all the experience,
And she
it's
hasn't
an
told
easy airplane
anybody
to
about the
fly.
crashes that she's had. And,
Oh my goodness.
Well,
There have
yeah.
been 0 crashes, Dan.
But so there's a difference, and there's a time and a place. I mean, I'm very thankful to have those rating systems because we use them.
Right.
But there are cases to where you absolutely do not use them, and you take that, carry it in, sit it down, and say,
Like
let's
a
talk
plane
about
like
this.
Dan's.
Yeah. No, yeah. I hate being the case study for this kind of stuff. But, and all right, well, that's really good information. Make sure that your broker is actually advocating for you and going to bat for you in a smart, strategic way.
Well,
is
yeah,
what I'm
just
taking
talk
away
about
here.
it.
Yeah. And build a resume for you as a pilot and your plane to go through insurance, and it'll help you get a better rate.
And you know, what can you do to give yourself a better rate if you're in one of those high-performance aircraft? Get training.
Get training.
Training. Like if you're a Bonanza pilot, like I'm a Bonanza pilot, I flew my V-35B here today,
Oh, wow.
which was great. But if you're a Bonanza pilot, go through the American Bonanza Society's pilot proficiency program. It's awesome.
And that will take some of the stuff off?
You're building your resume.
Okay. Okay.
And so-
That gives the broker some ammunition to go and fight for
Absolutely.
you. Okay. A wings credit?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But especially things that are catered to your aircraft,
Okay.
those help.
Okay. I hadn't realized that. Any other things that give the broker ammunition that the pilot can provide?
You know, before you call a broker, you should have some things in order for yourself. You should know what your pilot history is, I mean, you know how much total time you have, how much you've flown in the last year. If you're flying a tailwheel, how much tailwheel time do you have? And how much tailwheel time do you have in that specific airplane you're trying to insure? And those things, they're all part of the rate. So they're going to
Have
need
them ready
them.
when
So-
you call.
Yeah, and have your medical. You know, they're going to want the month and year that you did your last medical, when you did your last biannual flight review. If you're flying helicopters, a lot of helicopters, they're going to want specific training, and they're going to want to know when you did your last training. But one of the things that seems to get left out, especially if you're someone in something that's type rated, how many times have you been to flight safety in that aircraft? You know, that's something that we can give the underwriter that says, look, this guy's been to flight safety the last 10 years in a row. So they realize that this guy really knows this aircraft. He's been there 10 times. So, you know, if you're flying a helicopter and you're going to Bell and you're going to that training every year, not just 1 year, because that's what they typically ask for is 1 year. But if you can give them all the times that you've been, it's more information.
So it's not just a robot on the other end that clicks, I'll insure it for X amount. It's actually a human being that looks at it?
It is actually a human being.
Wow, okay.
Aviation insurance is pretty old school.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's all really good stuff. You guys do more than just aviation insurance, right?
Yeah. You know, another thing that I've seen people struggle with is, you know, this is called in the hangar.
Right.
People like to live in the hangar.
Right.
You know, you look at Stearman Field where I live.
Right.
And, you know, I have a house on the west side of the runway, but on the east side of the runway, there's hangar homes. It's just a regular airplane hangar. With the back of it is living quarters. And those, and you know, I've been insuring those at that place for over 20 years.
Wow.
And insurance companies, a regular insurance company that does homeowners, they really typically don't understand aviation. And they kind of freak out when they find out that you're living with your airplane.
Right.
And I've heard this so many times to where, you know, the underwriter will say to me, well, what if the airplane leaks gas?
Oh my.
And then it's going to catch on fire and everyone's going to die. I'm like, well, where's your garage?
Right.
So, you know, they just don't, they look at that, it's just something so foreign to them that they don't want anything to do with it. You know, if there's airplanes in the house or in a hangar that they're living in, most insurance companies on a general basis don't want to have anything to do with it. But we have some companies that over the years, we've, you know, convinced them and talked to them and reassured them that things are going to be fine. And
That's interesting. I would have never thought that would be an issue. But then again, you know, I am the kind of person who would live with my airplane.
You would live with your
I
airplane
would
in
live
a
with my
heartbeat.
airplane
Yes,
if I
you
could,
would.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we do a good job at that, and I'm pretty proud of my people for that. But we work hard at keeping those rates competitive for those types.
That's awesome. This is really good information.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you could come out
Yeah.
and be with us, Jerry, and tell us about this. I can take away some really good stuff here to help.
Okay.
And I appreciate you going to bat for me because I know you were able to get a little bit better rate for me recently. So
Yeah.
that's
how we did it.
how you did it.
You built
the
the
resume.
resume.
Build the
Yeah.
resume. Okay, well, thank you guys for watching, and I'd like to thank our sponsors. We'll start with Clemens Insurance. As you can see, go to clemensinsurance.net for for somebody who's going to advocate for you and go to bat for you. You know, it's because every single one of our sponsors is founded and run by a pilot. Did you know that?
I did,
Yeah.
because you told me.
Because I told her. So they make great products. They're part of our aviation family, and so we like to keep it in the family. So if you can support them, it helps support us, and we can keep bringing you great content. So
And you know what else brings great content or keeps us bringing great content
What's
is
that?
the viewers
the viewers.
who like, subscribe, and share our content.
So thank you guys for doing that, and we'll see you next time.
In the hangar.